Ethan Cole had built his billion-dollar empire on precision, discipline, and decisions that never wavered. As the CEO of a global tech company, his time was measured in seconds and his words carried the weight of hundreds of livelihoods. That night, sitting in his glass-walled office overlooking the glowing city, he was preparing to make one of those decisions again, cold, necessary, and final. An underperforming employee. A liability. He dialed the number with a calm expression, already rehearsing the short, direct sentence that would end someone's career. But the moment the call connected, everything changed. Instead of a grown voice bracing for bad news, a small, trembling voice answered, "Hello." Ethan frowned slightly. "Is this Daniel Brooks?" he asked, his tone still firm. There was a pause. Then the boy spoke again, softer this time, almost breaking, "No, but... Uncle, please come help my mom." The words didn't fit the moment. They didn't belong in Ethan's world of boardrooms and contracts. Yet they hit him harder than any business crisis ever had. His grip on the phone tightened. "What do you mean? Where are you?" he asked, his voice shifting unconsciously from authority to concern. "She won't wake up." "I tried shaking her, she's not moving," the boy whispered, and in the background, Ethan could hear two other children, their quiet sniffles filling the silence like a warning. For the first time in years, Ethan hesitated, not because of uncertainty, but because something inside him refused to ignore what he had just heard. This wasn't his problem. This wasn't his responsibility. And yet, he couldn't hang up. "Listen to me," he said, standing up abruptly, grabbing his coat. "I'm coming. Stay on the phone with me." The boy gave a small, hopeful "okay," as if those words alone had already saved him. Ethan traced the number through his system, pulling up an address just a few miles away. As he rushed out of his office and into his car, the city lights blurred past him, but his mind stayed locked on the fragile voice on the other end of the line. "What's your name?" Ethan asked gently. "Noah," the boy replied. "And my brothers are here too." Ethan swallowed, a strange tightness forming in his chest. He had spent years building a life of control, of distance, of efficiency. But nothing in his carefully constructed world had prepared him for this moment. When he arrived at the small, worn-down apartment building, it stood in stark contrast to the polished towers he was used to. He ran up the stairs without waiting for the elevator, following Noah's instructions until he reached the door. It creaked open to reveal three small faces filled with fear and fragile hope. Inside, their mother lay still on the bed, her pale face illuminated by a dim lamp. Ethan immediately called emergency services, his voice sharp and urgent now, completely different from the composed CEO he had been just minutes earlier. As he waited, he knelt beside the boys, reassuring them, speaking in a tone he didn't even know he was capable of. When the paramedics finally arrived and took over, Ethan stepped back, watching as chaos turned into controlled urgency. One of the boys grabbed his hand tightly, refusing to let go. And in that moment, Ethan realized something that shook him deeper than any business loss ever could. He had almost hung up. Almost dismissed this call as a mistake. Almost chosen efficiency over humanity. But fate had forced him to listen. Hours later, sitting in the hospital hallway, his phone buzzed with missed calls and urgent messages about deals, meetings, and decisions waiting for him. For the first time, none of it mattered. Because somewhere along the way, a simple misdial had reminded him of something he had long forgotten, that success means nothing if you lose your ability to care. And as he looked at the three boys sitting beside him, finally calm, finally safe, Ethan made a silent promise that this wouldn't be the end of the story. It would be the beginning of something far more meaningful. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful and emotional stories like this. Your support helps bring more inspiring moments to life.